So thank you so much for joining me for this mental health wellbeing presentation. My name is Angela Ratnachandra and I'm the founder of Beyond Pain. We are a multidisciplinary team helping individuals and organizations with wellbeing strategies. We specialize in helping people with chronic pain, chronic fatigue, mental illness, and/or burnout. And we also help organizations implement early intervention strategies as well as injury prevention strategies, both for physical and psychological injuries. Our team consists of physiotherapists, exercise physiologists, occupational therapists, psychologists, and clinical pharmacists. And while we can do some face-to-face, we are renowned for our work via telehealth and video conferencing. We've been doing it for over 10 years and we specialize in that area. So we have clients all over Australia and we can essentially develop a wellbeing program in the comfort of someone's home pretty well. And we've shown that even whether it's regional, rural, or metropolitan areas, it doesn't matter, we can still provide a quality of care. I myself have been working in pain and wellbeing for over 15 years. I'm a published author. Here's my book, Beyond Pain. You can find that on my website, www.beyondpain.com.au. And I'm also a keynote speaker. If you do want to connect with me, like I said, you can either go to the website, beyondpain.com.au, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So today I'm going to go through my personal journey of mental health wellbeing. I want to show you what I think are the 3 key pillars for wellbeing, and also time permitting, teach you a few strategies for you to do every day that are quick and easy to implement so that you can look after yourself as well. Okay, before we start, obviously, I would like to recognise the traditional owners of our land and pay respect to elders past and present. I'd like to advise that this presentation also contains some images which are graphic and it can affect some participants. So mental health wellbeing. This webinar is about the concept of something to be. So before I go into that, when we talk about good mental health or good mental health wellbeing, we often talk about eating well, exercising, meditation, mindfulness, essentially things you do or something to do to put you in a good place. But I reckon that while that's really important and that helps you achieve what you need to achieve, I think there's a greater concept that we should all aim for that's far more effective and lasting and a lot more meaningful. And that's to look at, not just to look at something to do, but actually something to be. Who do you want to be as a person, as an individual? Who do you want to be? And if we can aim towards that, I think the rewards are much more greater. And I think your well-being is a lot more resilient to adversity. Okay, so as I promised, I'm going to start with my personal journey and show you why I came to this conclusion after 15 years of working in this field. Why is well-being more than just things to do? Why is it about knowing what you want to be? So 23rd of June 2006, I was in London at the time. I was working in a specialist pain management centre where we were helping people with chronic pain who were suffering from physical and mental injury. And then this happened. So I was sitting at home watching TV on a Friday night and 2 youths broke the window, pulled the blind back and threw a Molotov cocktail at my head. They got the wrong house, the wrong blue door. They were intended to get the house 2 doors down, but they got our house instead. And subsequently, it was a case of mistaken identity and I was an innocent victim of crime. Fortunately, I'm glad that they did get our house in the end because the house they intended had an 8-year-old girl and our mum staying in the living room, not even the intended victim. So that would have been a lot nastier result, I think. So nevertheless, what happened was the petrol bomb came straight through the window. I put my hand up to shield my face. It deflected on my arm, hit the back wall, and it smashed. And then I got showered in petrol, and then I caught it light. So all this skin had to get removed. This ear actually crumbled down to the cartilage. You could see the burns around my neck, and my neck was quite swollen from the smoke inhalation. That's actually my left arm. Uh, if it wasn't for this patch of skin, they would have had to amputate it because there was no way for the inflammation to come out because all the skin follicles were burnt off. That's my left arm again. My right arm didn't fare much better. So both arms had to essentially get skinned right to the fingertips. And I subsequently underwent some grafting as well. That's my left hand, probably the most gruesome photo of my photo shoot. So as you can see, it's pretty significant. And as a physio, obviously that was quite traumatic for me because it might have meant the end of my career at that point. So that was the couch I was sitting on. You can see that the black mark where the petrol bomb actually hit. And so I was sitting right there and I ducked, otherwise it would have hit my face. And then the whole thing caught fire. Fortunately, I had the state of mind to put the fire. I had to use my hand because the first thing that came to mind was stop, drop, and roll, as we were taught in Australia. But in London, if any of you have lived there, there's not a lot of space for that. So I had to use my bare hands to put the fire out. That's why I had the extensive burns of both my hands. And then had the sense of mind to run upstairs into the bathtub and yell out for my flatmates to get out and call for help, which they did, thankfully. So despite all of that, 8 months prior to that, I was in hospital again. I was a frequent visitor in hospital. I was there for a collapsed lung, and I was they gave me 48 hours to live, and I ended up 5 weeks in hospital with life-saving lung surgery. So there was back-to-back events. But nevertheless, I was soldiering on. I still wanted to achieve what I wanted to achieve, which was to trek the Himalayas. So it's something I felt I really wanted to do. And it took me 5 years, but in 2010, or 4.5 years, 2010, my wife and I did Everest Base Camp and got to the base camp. And at that moment, when I did get there, incredibly, I was so emotional and I couldn't understand why, because I've just done what I wanted to do. And I think that's where I started thinking, maybe well-being is more than just something to do. But anyway, we got back. I was still soldiering on. I was working and so on and so forth. And my wife fell pregnant with our first. And around that time, I was also then diagnosed with a very rare cancer. The chance of getting this cancer is less than 1%. I had a 5 centimeter tumor, a cancer growing in my calf, left calf. And so they had to go in with a wide excision surgery. That's why there's a massive chunk taken out of my calf there, because they didn't know whether radiation or chemotherapy would work. That was that rare. So even today, I go back every 6 months, although it's almost 10 years now, because I want the data to keep monitoring me, and so on and so forth. And so even after that, I went back to where I was quite successful in, became a director of an occupational rehab company. I was very busy life. Subsequently, my wife had a couple other kids, so we had 3 kids, growing family, young family, very busy. And then due to unforeseen circumstances, I had started getting these episodes of what I now know as symptoms of PTSD. And I found myself in a really dark place. And no matter what I tried to do, I just couldn't shake it off. And then what it became was known as the struggle. And I think everyone knows what the struggle feels like, where it's just, you feel like constantly chasing your tail, you just haven't got the energy, can't hold a conversation, want to socially isolate. And some of us have probably experienced that multiple times. Generally speaking, it's manageable, you get over it. And to be honest, most people who have the struggle, they'll say every day is a struggle. And I think that sort of struggle is actually healthy for you, keeps you going. But at my darkest point, I realized it was just unbearable. And I sort of started to understand that it wasn't necessarily the work because I could do the work. It wasn't necessarily the family because I could deal. It was just everything was coming on point, and I was second guessing myself. I was doubting myself. And I think what had happened was it impacted my belief systems. And I think when I talk about belief system, I mean self-belief, belief in others, and belief in the future. And belief in the future is about hope. So, and if you yourself had mental health issues, or someone has, often they'll tell you, they don't have the confidence, they don't know if they have the right supports, they feel isolated, or they can't see an end in sight. And that is a real degradation of belief. And I think part of mental health well-being is re-establishing that belief. And if I could make you point out that it's actually belief, as in something to be. It's you're believing in yourself. So what did I do? Well, I needed to do something, and I needed to find myself again. And I figured that, as I said to you, doing stuff is good, but I really wanted to find out the higher purpose. And so I wanted to find out who I was, what I wanted to be. So my wife was very supportive at the time. She said, "You got to go find yourself again." And somehow I packed my bags, went away for a little while, and I found myself in the foothills of the Himalayas in North India, being trained in ancient Himalayan yoga. And that was a truly eye-opening experience and really confirmed my belief that mental health well-being is about something to be, not just something to do. Um, and I think the three key pillars of being something are as follows. Before I start on those three pillars, I'd just like to mention also that when you think about being something or being someone, it actually targets your emotional centers in the brain. Whereas if you think about doing something, it targets the practical activity centers like the frontal lobe in the brain. So when you focus on something to be, you're actually targeting the emotional centers, which are more a bigger driver. It overtakes the practical centers. So it's actually more lasting. So if you think about, I want to be a great mum or a great dad, that sounds more deeper and more meaningful than saying, I want to look after the kids, I want to be able to pay the mortgage, I want to put them through good school, which are all things to do to be a good mum or dad. But it's not something to be. Something to be is being a good mum or dad. Anyway, so the three pillars. Three pillars are purpose, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Everyone's heard of it, but people are still often confused as to, well, how do I find purpose? Passion is the other one. It goes hand in hand with purpose, and again, we hear a lot about it, but again, what does that mean? And then practice. This is the one that's missing, I think. And purpose is what you want to be. Passion is the fuel, what's driving you to be that. And practice is the things you need to do, the good things you need to do, both for yourself from a mental health well-being perspective and also the others and the environment. Because if you can have a balance with purpose, passion, and practice, you're going to have prosperity. And that's well-being prosperity. Yeah. So purpose, passion, practice. So we're going to do a quick exercise here. Purpose. What I want you to answer, and just write down the first things that come to mind, and we'll do it in 15-second blocks. What do I want to be? Teacher, successful person, successful businessman, good mom, dad, whatever. What do I want to be? Off you go. Okay, so just write down what you want to be. And it could be successful. Yeah? Doesn't have to be a job title. Passion. This is the fuel. What's driving you to be that? Why do I want to be this person? Is it because my family expects it? Is it because I want to be inspirational to other people? Is it because I always want to help people? What's driving you to be what you want to be? Is it because you want to earn a lot of money, so you're financially secure, or buy that car? Think about that. Why do you want to be that? 15 seconds. Just write down words. It's fine. And finally, think about how are you going to be this? What do you need to do? And I'm not just talking about doing a course and getting a qualification. That's important, but you've got to look at your well-being. So what else do you need to do? How are you going to find balance with your work, with your home situation, your friends, social? How are you going to find a balance? Write down what things you could potentially do. And I'll give you 20 seconds for this. You might write things like exercise, mindfulness, make sure you do the team sport stuff, basketball, soccer. Right, got that? So really, in your 3 lists, you should have sense of purpose. What do I want to be? Successful person, teacher, good person, someone that can help others, whatever it might be. Your passion, why? Because I always wanted to help others. It makes me feel good to help others. I want to earn a lot of money because I want to buy that. My dad was a cop. I want to be a cop. Whatever it might be, that's your passion. What's driving you? Why do you want to be that? And then practices. What are you going to put in place? Okay. And that needs to be not just, like I said, the degrees. It needs to be everything. You as a person, how you're going to balance this, how you're going to manage this. So coming into practices, we've spoken about that it is something to be, but as I said to you from the beginning, doing things is important because that helps you. That's a good practice. And I think there are 7 key practices, and all these concepts are out of my a 3-day workshop called Better Being. And in that, we teach you all these practices. And the 7 key practices out of that 3-day workshop for better being are this. I ask you to do good work. Good is not 5 out of 10. Good is about 7 out of 10. And it needs to be consistent. And when I say work, it doesn't have to be work as in your job. It could be your work as a stay-at-home parent, or it could be your work as a carer, or whatever it might be. Just whatever you're doing, do it well, or do a good job. And that's 7 out of 10 consistently. Exercise little and often. Now, a lot of us are so busy, we don't have time to go to the gym for 1 hour. Hey, do 10 minutes, do 5 minutes, put on a YouTube clip that's a 3-minute HIIT program or a 10-minute yoga program, doesn't matter. Exercise, change in posture, just from you've been sitting here for almost 20 minutes, get up. I'll send you a quick example of where changing posture can be really effective. If you put your arms out and you look up at the ceiling, put your arms out, look up at the ceiling, and try and be angry. You can't, right? No matter how hard you try, you can't be angry. Now cross your arms, look down. Look down like you're really upset or something, and now try and be happy. You can't. Your head automatically lifts up. Why is that? Simple postural changes releases different chemicals. When you put your arms out like this, head up, your body is releasing endorphins, your feel-good hormones. It's a very welcoming posture. It's how you hug someone. And so you can't be angry. Whereas if you cross your arms, that's a very defensive, aggressive posture or threat, concern. And therefore, your body releases different hormones, which then makes you ready for a fight or fear, the fight, flight, or freeze response. And therefore, you can't be happy. So simple change in posture can emotionally change your mood. The other thing is be present with yourself and environment. Sometimes it's actually good not to look too far ahead. 1 day at a time. I'll just get through today. Let's see what tomorrow looks. And just take some time out. Close your eyes. Just spend 2 minutes just focusing on the sounds around you. Just do a bit of mindfulness. Mindfulness is just about filling the mind with one thing. It could be listening to your favorite song. Doesn't matter. Find a creative space. We know that from research, doing this is really helpful. Show generosity and gratitude. Be generous more than gratitude. I always harp on about this because being generous makes you feel valued, and there's a sense of self-belief because you're able to help someone despite your struggle. I think gratitude we've harped on about too much, but we've forgotten about generosity. Feed your mind and body. Learn stuff, listen to music, eat good food, and sleep well, play well. And we know the importance of that. We're coming up to the end of the webinar, so I'm going to keep going. So with Beyond Pain, we have a purpose, passion, and practice as an organization. Be significant, not just successful. Empower clients to believe and humanize rehab with impact. And our key message to all our clients, whether they're individuals or organizations, is it's about something to be, not something to do. So mental health, well-being, something to be. Thank you very much. And again, if you want to connect with me, go to LinkedIn or go to our website, www.beyondpain.com.au. Take care.